Southwest Florida real estate just flipped in a way we've never seen before. And if you're a buyer or a seller, this changes everything. New construction is now cheaper than resale homes for the first time in U.S. history. And I'm going to show you exactly how I just got my buyers this month. $88,000 on one home and over $130,000 in incentives on the next. And why a cheaper used home can actually cost you more every month. Closed sales did skyrocket over 55% in March, just as we expected our season to be, but inventory did drop. But here's the problem. Pending sales just fell 23%, which could mean that this season and surge is very short-lived. I'm Ed Zoller with Villa Realty Group. I got 25 plus years full-time in this real estate industry, and I break down the data, the math, and the real strategies so you don't have to get caught on the wrong end of this market. And so with all that, let me put my laser pointer on and go to the next slide. So my advice for sellers, and I've been profiling every single month a community that was being sold pre-COVID and currently. And last month I featured West Haven at Gateway. A previous video I went over Marbella on Cypress in Fort Myers. And this month I'm featuring a community called Marblebrook in Lehigh Acres, which is a D.R. Horton community. And as you can see, in 2019 before COVID, you could get an 1828 square foot Cali model from D.R. Horton for $205,000. Then you fast forward to 2020, $213,000. But, and that was about 3-4%, which is what real estate should go up. But then look what happened in 2021, up 52% in 2021. And then another 11% in 2022, up to $362,000, which means if you bought a home in 2020, you would have made over $150,000 in just 2 years. Ridiculous. The very next year, it dropped down 7%, dropped another 7, dropped another 11 in 2025. And if you look real closely here, we have 2 active sales. We have a house on the market, that same Cali model has been on the market for 224 days at $278,000, and guess what? It ain't selling, which means it's probably worth less than $270,000. So this is what I talk about, fake COVID equity disappearing. This is a great, another example of how it escalated really high, and it's all going away right now. So my advice for sellers is be wary. Builders are controlling this market. You have to compete against them. And is it over? No, you still have great COVID equity still left, just not as much as the people who sold in 2022 and 2023. But if you price yourself according to the market and you market your home differently and choose the right agent, then you can get out of this market with still a little bit of that fake COVID equity left over. My advice for buyers is that patience, and I'm just going to say it a million times, and I think every PowerPoint I'm going to say times 4, times 8. You do not want to catch blades in a market of falling daggers. You want to watch them turn into feathers, or make them turn into feathers and catch those. If you want a monthly payment, and you have exactly what you have in mind, and you want the best home, this is the time for buyers to get a plan going. Come up with that plan, then just execute that plan. And with every buyer I have, we do exactly that. We set up a plan, we execute the plan, we go out and look for homes, find the perfect one, and then make them come to us. So we have over 11,500 homes, which is a huge pile of inventory to sell. And sellers are going to be motivated, and don't be shy to use some of this data, and maybe someone like myself with the negotiation expertise to sit there and get these sellers off their high horse about they think that their house is worth $1 gajillion. And unfortunately, maybe it was. It's not anymore. Let's talk about this month's deal. Let me show you a real life example. I had a client, or Val, who came from my YouTube channel, watched my videos, liked what I was having to say, and we did a tour from Sarasota all the way down to Venice, Florida, which is really only about an hour north of where I am. So I go an hour and a half east into Lehigh Acres. It's my county. So we're going to do a new construction tour. All these builders have the same format, and they are all super motivated. So we started in Sarasota, and that's the home his wife and him decided to have. But we had a problem. This is a gorgeous 2,300 square foot, 3-car garage, 3-bedroom plus den, 2 bathrooms. It's on the water. It's 6 minutes from Siesta Key Beach, which I think is the prettiest beach in all the entire world, if you've never been before. And just like that premium location, you're going to get a premium price. They are are building these homes right now, a to be built, which means that you pick the colors and you pick the floor plan and you pick the options, the base price is $854,382. Well, this one they had built for somebody, and for some reason they didn't close on it. The builder then finishes it as a speculation home, and they dropped the price to $799. You can see it right here on Zillow. And that was their special offer, which you can see right there. They were offering a rate of 4.875%, which is a lot better than the prime market right now, and were offering $21,000 in closing costs. So I asked them, can we do better? Can we get more closing costs? And something else they said, well, we can make the monthly payment lower by offering you a 3.99 ARM, which for Rafael's case worked perfectly since he's not going to be here in 7 years. So a 7-year fixed rate at 3.99, but they wouldn't give any more than 10 grand down. So we said, okay, we want the 3.99 and we want the maximum closing cost so he doesn't have to contribute a penny to closing other than just his down payment. And we offered them $700 grand. Does anyone out there think that you could offer a $700,000 purchase and ask for all those incentives on what they wanted $854, or in this case for this special offer $799, $999? They said no, and we went back and forth with different negotiation tactics, but at the end of the day, look what price I got them. $707,000. That's $93,000 off their price. And we got all the closing costs fully covered at 23 grand. And we got the 3.99% ARM rate fixed for 7 years. And try to even throw in some more. At the very end, my last little tchotchke was to get him a refrigerator. Total incentives, $133,139. And I don't want to say it's sad for the buyers who paid $854, or the sales that they had at $750 and $799, $750 being the lowest one. We end up protecting his downside and getting in with a good, reasonable offer of really what this house was going for back before COVID. Let's go for the second deal. And this is more realistic to what probably buyers are watching out there. This is in Cape Coral, Florida, the same Cali I talked about that was at Marblebrook in the previous slide. This one is an 1,828 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bath in the city of Cape Coral, where it has utilities, the city water and sewer. But when you get utilities, when you used to be an area that was well and septic, you have assessments, sometimes anywhere between $15,000 to $28,000. It had the quartz countertops. I've been working with Alan for 8 months. Just coming up with a plan. We're executing the plan. We waited for them to come to us. Impact glass, shower wall tile, stainless steel appliances. It's got everything. They were offering $395.15, and they were offering at that point $10,000 towards closing costs with a 4.99 fixed interest rate. They can do better. The funny thing is, when I offered my original offer to them, thinking about what they can really go down to, their counter offer to me was do better. And that's not how you counteroffer. That's not negotiation. So jokingly, I said, great, $500 more. I did better. Now what? Give me something back in return. And we went back and forth. This was about 2 weeks ago. We started this process, and they eventually said, we can't do it. We can bring it down, but we need the 395. We can give you another couple incentives, and it wasn't good enough. It didn't get Alan to his monthly payment that he didn't want to exceed, which was $23.50. So we went to work, and I asked them, can we get a 399 fixed for 30 years, since Alan is going to be here, planning on being here over 7 years? And was that an option? And they said, it is, but we can't give you any closing cost money. Well, I'm not going to take that. Plus, it wasn't going to get his monthly payment to where I needed anyway, since their price was too high. So again, a couple rounds back and forth. At the end of the day, I got him $370,000, so 25 grand off the price. I got the full concessions to cover all the closing costs, and what cost 32 grand to the builder to get a 399 30-year fixed interest rate and pay off all those city water and sewer assessments, about 15 grand worth. I got Alan $88,150 worth of incentives with a 3.5% down, or $12,950, and that's it, since all the closing costs are paid. His monthly payment was slightly under $23.50. There, we did it, and that's a perfect example of set your limits, set your things, let the daggers fall to you. I wanted to compare this with a Cali, a same D.R. Horton Cali. You can see it's the same square footage. It's just 4 years old, 2022. This one just sold. Someone just bought this used Cali model in the same location. We're on Northeast 5th. This is on Northeast 6th. Same location, one street away. It was on the market for, 6 months. And someone offered $310, 60 grand less than I got Alan his. But look at this. The down payment at $310 was $10,000. Ours is $12,000. Okay, so far put a checkbox next to the used one. But that interest rate, since they did not give concessions of any kind, was 6.125, which was about the interest rate at the time that they went under contract. Our fixed interest rate is 3.99. Our closing costs are zero. Their closing costs on a used home is $9,300. Look at the monthly payment difference. $24.95 monthly payment, $150 more for, in essence, a $60,000 less expensive home. And the out-of-pocket, Alan's coming up with $12,950 and getting a brand new home, and they came out with $20,000, $7,200 more for the same house in the same location, except that this one's used and this one's new with all the warranties and slightly better features. There's the math for you to understand. This is why new homes are cheaper, significantly cheaper than the used homes. And this is something for owners out there. This is what you're up against. This is what you have to compete with. If you got a Cali in Cape Coral and you need to compete against this, you think, oh, they're offering $370, I'm offering $310, I'm a better deal. You're not. You need to be probably in the $260, $270 range to duplicate what I just got Alan from D.R. Horton. And last month, I showed you this graph to show you that this is in the country, that the new homes are cheaper than used homes for the first time in our history. Sometimes they get close, sometimes they kiss a little bit, but they've never exceeded it. And you got to look, when did it kiss? 2005 and 6, right before the crash, and then look how much they separated. This is the crash that you're going to see in the next year or two when the used market finally understands that they have to be not just 20% lower, they need to be more, 30, 40% lower than the new home equivalent of their home. Our inventory for Cape Coral and Lee County, we went down, which is kind of weird because this graph has always showed that we peak inventory in March, and this is the first March we actually went down. That is a positive sign. Inventory went down 3%, and it's 17% less than the last time, the 1 year ago in March of last time. So this actually is pretty good because if you keep increasing inventory, not that 11,600 homes is good, but it's better to see a positive sign of where did these homes go? Did they sell? Did we have a big boom? Because last month I showed you guys that pending sales skyrocketed 40%, which means the closed sales should also skyrocket. But even at 11,000, we are 54% higher than our long-term average. And although March will always peak above that long-term average and kind of go back down again, this kind of gives you an idea that, yes, this is good news. We got rid of homes. And of this inventory, 2127 are new construction, which is a drop of 92 homes. That's a 4% drop of builder inventory. And if builders are ruining the show on this thing and running the show, then having lower inventory means that, yeah, the show could be over, but how many homes did the guy get rid of? 2127, and they're losing about 100 a month? Even at that rate, we got a couple years worth of this builder inventory. But I got to give credit where credit's due. We had good news. Inventory went down for the first time in March, breaking a trend. Where did they all go, though? Well, I also had to look into the terminated, withdrawns, and expireds. If someone gives up on the market and no longer is for sale, they terminate, expire the listing, or withdraw it from the market. And we did see a pretty big increase of 11% up into that 1,400 range. So 1,400 homes gone. Overall inventory went down 400, but 1,400 of those we gained inventory, but we didn't, so the numbers kind of are skewed. But understand, when people give up, doesn't mean they're never going to sell. It means that they might be coming right back on, maybe with a new agent, maybe with a new look, new feel. Maybe they give it a couple months break, or they fully just say, I'll wait till next year, because season is here. This was the month for sellers to sell, March and April, and the inventory is going down, which is good, less competition for the sellers out there. But we have to look at what demand's doing. And this is the demand. And I have to play a huge... This is demand. I drew this downward channel back in 2021, and so far this graph has stayed within this channel. But look, we just broke the channel. So we are no longer having a high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high. We have a higher high. And so that means a trend has been broken. That's a 20-month new high. We have not been this high in sales, 1,373, in 20 months. That is 2 months of a consecutive trend where demand has gone up. So these solds that we talked about last month, sales went up 55%. That is a fantastic, one more time with the horn. That is a fantastic thing for people that want to have this market turn around. The problem is March is, as every single year, March, it is the peak of our sales. And then it starts going back down again. But I'll be very curious what the heck happens next month. This broke a 6-year downward channel where we actually made a higher high instead of a lower high. It's still 20% lower than the average homes that we sell, and this is supposed to be it. Will this continue next month? We don't know. But the negative trend is, and this is as I write this, and every month I go over demand, I'm going to tell you about the interest rates. At the time of writing this, 6.48 is the interest rate. That's a half a point increase from when I wrote last month's, which was 5.99. In 1 month, a half a point. And although you don't think, what half a point, that's not a big deal. Look at what we did with Allen. Look at what the interest rate did to that monthly payment, even at a significantly higher price, which means houses are going to be less affordable. And of the 1,373 sales, 405 of them were new construction. That's a 59% increase. Good going, builders. Let's do a fanfare. Let's do, I'm going to do this one right here. Good job, builders. That's what happens when you give away $80,000 to $100,000 plus dollars in incentives. You should be selling your homes. We got a whole lot more homes to get rid of, though. But it's a good positive trend for demand. Are we affordable, though? Even with all these things? Well, not with the interest rate going up, we're not. This is a graph going all the way back to 2004. This takes the average house and the average location and the average size, and it takes the average household income, and it tells you a percentage of what that mortgage of that average home is compared to the gross income. And as you can see here, I have drawn a box. I have put the things in green. I would say if you're under 26%, then it is affordable. And how do I prove that? Because in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, not in 18 because they raised the interest rates. You guys don't remember that. And then it went right back down to affordable again in 19, 20, and then 20, towards the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021. Boom, we became unaffordable super fast, getting right into where it was ridiculously unaffordable. And now it's coming back down to center. Are we really targeting 26% of gross income? No, because only a few times has that ever even happened. It's mostly into this target box of 20 to 24%. Think about that. A quarter of your gross income, you don't even bring home your gross income, can go towards a mortgage. Yeah, I would say that's affordable. Anything more than that, it's not. So is it good that it's going back down? Absolutely. The target monthly payment, if you want to do a little prediction here, of the average home, but based on the average household income, should be around under $1,750 a month, and currently we're at $2,109. We need this mortgage to drop $350 a month, or another 17%. Or if you do want to buy a home right now, we're just going to take that off the top of what the house is truly worth, not what the asking price is, so that you can have some downward protection just in case we do actually get back into this box. Remember, just because you go in the box does not mean it's over, because look what happened. It went way under the box and then kind of hovered around that for years. So this is something to consider. Are we affordable? Nope. I've been trying to say whether we're in a buyer's or seller's market, and with all those 1,300 sales, and with the fact that we only, with the inventory we have right now, we have just hit just under 10 months. And when has that happened last? Well, last year, July. It's a positive thing, guys. It's a break of a downward trend. We hit under 9 months of inventory a lot since 2024, not too often. So this is, I want to say this is also a positive one. We are not in super stupid buyer's market. We're just in the extreme buyer's market. If we get some more sales in April, which the pendings later on we'll discuss, then maybe we'll see this thing actually go down to just a normal buyer's market, and that will be good news for sellers and still good news for buyers. Median home price, I just call this my big stubborn mule. I mean, look, if you go back on this graph to the 2005-06 bubble, and you know what a bubble looks like, it's way above this little orange line, which I've created because this goes off of household income and how it wants to go back on track. And anytime it starts skewing away from it, you're creating a little bit of bubble. And then what happens? That bubble pops a little smooth, like look, almost like a mountain, just straight down again. It overcorrects itself, gets back on track, chugs along, and then we have stupid COVID happen, and then this big bubble. Look how stubborn this graph is. So the average median household price went up 4%, and that's with 1,300 sales. Now, when you look at median median home price, and there's only, I don't know, 800 sales, well, then you have to look at what's selling, and if a lot of $1 million homes are selling, then this graph is skewed. Even though we had 1,300 sales, closed sales, 120 of them were over $1 million, including this big mamma jamma, $10 million home on Bonita Beach with 5,600 square foot on the beach. That kind of skews the median home price, but I keep a graph and we kind of look for it for trends. I still think I drew this little downline thing and this thing is going to keep touching, but it's not showing support on that line and bouncing back up. It's showing resistance on that line to go back down. And I think it's going right back down to this little orange bar based on household income. That's where the home should be. And it's telling me we have about 18 to 20% lower to go, which is exactly what the previous graph said that it did that. All right. Builders are still going to run the show. They still got 2,100 homes just in Lee County alone, but they still have over the old current record of the most amount of homes that they've ever had in the southern census states. So we got a lot of homes to get rid of. Hey, our local builders, thank God, they sold 100 more homes than they put up. That's good. We'll keep doing that. If every builder does that in every section of the southern United States, then we should be pretty good for in a couple years or so. But are they going to keep doing it? Plus, remember, it's our season, and this is the peak of our season, so do we expect sales to keep going up? Probably not. I try to do a little prediction here. So if I take the last bubble, which is taking the Zillow home value index of how much a house went up per month, and I take that current number and I graph it out like I did here since 2000, you can see here, yeah, houses are going up 3% a month. That's 36% a year. That is crazy. You can also see that as soon as it did that, it crashed right back down to negative 3% a month, which is negative 36% as the market stabilized. And then it kind of tried to get back to zero and then bounced back off, kind of like that resistance line. And then finally in 2012, it hit stabilization. Not only hit it, it bounced off of it and it never looked back. Now in 2018, when the Feds dropped the interest rate, or increased the interest rate, it made things unaffordable briefly and it dipped under the line, but it showed that line was support and it bounced off of it a couple times. Then we got the stupid COVID, but I try to say, guys, let's do a little prediction here based on math. It took 7 years to hit stable, from peak to stable. So 7 years from 2023 or 2022 is 2029. Maybe that's good. But look at the graph. It is going back to zero. Now, is it going to go back to zero and bounce back down again? Maybe. It did it last time, so why wouldn't it do it again? But we had... This last time we had negative home value growth, it was 59 consecutive months. And right now we just hit our 32nd consecutive months, which means I know for a fact that I have done 30 of these videos every single month because I remember when I said we got 2 consecutive months and that has just grown to 32 consecutive months. But at negative 0.17, that is a heck of a lot better than 1.28, 1.17, 1.22 negative. So we are getting back towards zero. I'm just really curious when it hits zero, will it stabilize, bounce off as support, or will it have resistance and go back down? So are we stable right now? No. Let's go month to month. And here's that big news right now. And I got to say, with all this positive news, I got to say, look at the total pending sales, guys. It dropped 23%. So we had this huge increase of pending sales, which made for a huge increase of home sales. So what do we think home sales are going to be next month? Is it continuing our season? Not when you have pending home sales drop by 23%. Our inventory did go down. The home sales obviously skyrocketed up 52% from 800 sales to 1,300 sales. I mean, that's just incredible. The new construction is down 4%. That's good. We still got 2,100 homes to go, though. And the time on the market stayed the same. That stupid median asking price going up, I think it's fake because we had a lot of $1 million homes that sold, especially that $10 million Mamma Jamma. And then the selling price, of course, being at $370. You can see here, sellers, if they're priced right, are getting within 3% of their asking price on the average. But positive news, yes, we had a 52% increase of sales. Negative news is next month's sales look like it's going to be less. Because we did go from 2,000 pending, turned into 1,300, which means 1,500 to turn into what? Maybe 1,100 or 1,000? Guys, I always put these monthly things out. I hope you're starting to see the trends. I hope you're starting to enjoy these things. I'm trying to put them all together. This is where I get my sources from. It is all out there on the internet, and you can get them from realtor.com to the Federal Reserve economic data to Zillow has great data. They might not be accurate with their estimate, but their data is good. Census Bureau's the Reventure app has some great graphs. National Association of Realtors, National Association of Home Builders. I try to get all this data, put it together, have it make sense for you guys. And if you have any questions, just like Rafael did when he said, hey, do you think you can help me out in Venice, Sarasota? Of course I can. If it's less than an hour and a half away, I can help you, especially with new construction tours, because I know all these builders, and all I had to do was ask a builder at MI Homes or Madame Homes or Taylor Morrison, hey, who's your guy up in that area? Oh, it's this guy. Okay, call him up, pay him Ed Zoller, and they know exactly who I am. Been doing this over 25 years. If you have an area of the United States that you think that you'd like me to do this for, I can do these. I can whip these things up in 5-6 minutes because the data comes from national sources. So if you want me to look up Idaho or Iowa or Kentucky or Jersey or New York, I'm all for it. Give me a shout. Give me a call. If you want to go to Parrish, Florida, or if you want to think about another county or to ask about it, I will be more than happy to help you as my viewers. Remember to like and subscribe to the video. If you have any questions, there's my email. There's my, you can see all these videos on LeeCountyMarketUpdate.com, all the videos as well as all the PowerPoints to follow along. I do not read the PowerPoint to you guys, so I do recommend you go on there, look at it so you can read all the material unless you just want to pause the video here and there. But anyway, talk to you later, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.